Welcome to the show, and thanks for stopping by. Before we dive in, I wanted to let you know that we're now on buymeacoffee.com. So I will put the link in the description, but go ahead and pop over to buymeacoffee.com/Samson King. Support the channel and buy us a coffee. We appreciate you. So let's dive in. What are we talking about today? Let's go back to the debate and look at what happened on Thursday night. It was quite the fiasco. Debate takeaways. Trump confident, even when wrong. Biden halting, even with facts on his side. So let's stop here and really examine that. This is a great PR lesson, right? You can be confident even when you're wrong. You can seem like you're not confident even though you have the facts. It all depends on delivery. Sometimes it depends on repetition. If we look at Muhammad Ali, he would always say, I'm the greatest, I'm the greatest, I'm the greatest. He kept repeating it. Even though he's long gone, when we talk about Muhammad Ali today, we say that he was the greatest. We refer to him as the greatest. So repetition does work in terms of getting your message across to your audience and having them remember it. So back to politics. Let's look at what the news is, covering after what we saw on Thursday night. And for some of us who were traveling in Europe, it was Friday morning at 2 a.m. And to be honest, it was a big letdown. Some of us wish that we hadn't stayed up that late to watch that burning bush that we saw on TV on the world stage as it transpired. The presidential debate was a rerun that featured two candidates with a combined age of 159. But it went especially poorly for one of them, President Joe Biden. I think the general consensus, guys, is that these two grandfathers or even great-grandfathers need to step aside and maybe let some of us, 30-year-olds, 40-year-olds, and 50-year-olds take the reign and move the U.S. into the future. I think it's time for them to let the younger people take charge and have the older people on the sides as mentors, as advisors, and things of that nature. I think that's the way forward. So, already fighting voter concerns about his age, Biden, who's 81, was halting and seemed to lose his train of thought Thursday night, sparking quick concerns among Democrats about the man they hope will keep former President Donald Trump from returning to office. For his part, Trump made repeated false claims and provocative statements. Trump 101. Nothing strange there. That's to be expected by now. But Trump seemed smoother and more vigorous than Biden, who was only 3 years older than the Republican ex-president. The debate covered a wide range of topics and included former President Trump not backing down from his vows to prosecute members of Congress and even the man he was debating. But the overarching theme was the difference between the candidates' performance. It was a really bad look for the U.S. on the global stage. These are a sitting president, the incumbent, and a former president pointing fingers and calling each other names like kids on a school playground. Bad optics for the U.S. The latest on the Biden-Trump debate is that, the debate was a critical moment in Joe Biden and Donald Trump's presidential rematch to make their cases before a national television audience. In fact, I would say an international television audience. So we take a look at the facts around false and misleading claims frequently made by the two candidates, right? And we have to realize that both candidates wasted no time sparring over policy during their 90-minute face-off. So let's look at the takeaways. Here are some of the takeaways from the face-off. Biden doesn't allay fears about his age. Presidential debates are often scored on style and impression more than substance. Again, it's optics. A lot of people have already made up their minds who they're voting for. So these debates won't necessarily change their minds or affect their feelings toward either man or either candidate. These are for style points. From a PR perspective, Trump was confident and composed, even as he steamrolled facts on abortion and immigration with false assertions, conspicuous exaggerations, and empty superlatives. Biden was often halting, his voice raspy, even when he had the facts on his side. He had difficulty finishing his arguments and marshaling his attacks. Trump's supporters have seemed unconcerned about his relationship with the truth, and his performance and delivery helped him. Biden's supporters consistently expressed concern about the president's age and capacity, and he did little to reassure them. One of the first glimpses viewers got of Biden was when he lost his train of thought while making his case on tax rates and the number of billionaires in America, trailing off and looking down at his lectern before mumbling briefly and saying, "We finally beat Medicare." When he tried to finish his point, he was cut off because of time limits. At other times, Biden made some puzzling non sequiturs that seemed to undercut what the campaign has said are his strong points, including the economy and abortion rights. He should have knocked these out of the park. As Biden critiqued Trump's economic record, the president suddenly pivoted to Afghanistan and how Trump didn't do anything about that. Although the botched withdrawal of Afghanistan is widely considered one of the lowest points of Biden's presidency. Later, as Biden singled out state restrictions on abortion, he confusingly pivoted to immigration and referred to a young woman who was just murdered by an immigrant. It was unclear what point he was trying to make. A lot to take in, listeners. So Trump won't condemn the January 6 attackers, giving Biden an opening. So Trump was cruising through the opening of the debate when he suddenly stumbled over the question of how he would reassure voters that he would respect his oath of office after the January 6, 2021 attack on the U.S. Capitol. He continued to engage in denialism about the attack and refused to denounce those who attacked police and stormed the building by breaking doors and windows. He suggested that those charged will somehow be found one day to be innocent. More than 1,400 people have been charged with federal offenses stemming from the riot. Of those, more than 850 people have pleaded guilty to crimes, including seditious conspiracy and assaulting police officers. About 200 others have been convicted at trial. Trump tried to avoid addressing the issue. I mean, these are his MAGA fans, right? He's going to ride or die with them. Their vote matters. He defended the people who stormed the Capitol, blaming Biden for prosecuting them. And I quote, "What they've done to some people who are so innocent, you ought to be ashamed of yourself," Trump told Biden. Trump warned that the members of the congressional committee that investigated January 6 could face criminal charges, as could Biden himself. Biden shot back. "The only person on this stage who's a convicted felon is the man I'm looking at." Trump didn't back down from his vow to seek vengeance. Coupled with his refusal to condemn the January 6 attackers, it made for a stark moment. Asked if he would accept the results of the election, Trump said, "If it's a fair and legal and good election, absolutely," which notably is not an unqualified yes. So Biden hits Trump on conviction, allegation of sex with a porn star. Again, this should be a home run for Biden here. In what may well be a first in a presidential campaign, Trump called the President Biden a criminal and said he could well be prosecuted after he leaves office. Biden then brought Trump's recent criminal trial in New York, in which prosecutors presented evidence that Trump had sex with a porn actor. "I didn't have sex with a porn star," Trump said. Again, Biden should have won there. On abortion, Trump falsely says everyone is happy, and Biden misses an opportunity. Abortion is an issue Democrats think could help deliver a victory in November. Trump in 2016 campaigned on overturning Roe v. Wade, and as president appointed 3 Supreme Court justices who provided the deciding votes, revoking the 49-year right to the procedure. In response to a question from the moderators, Trump vowed not to go further if he returns to the White House, where his administration would have the authority to outlaw the abortion pill mifepristone, which is widely used. So overturning Roe is one of Trump's greatest political vulnerabilities. But on Thursday, the former president contended everyone was happy with what he did. "As far as abortion is concerned, it's back to the states," Trump said, contending the founding fathers would have been happy with the end of Roe. Everybody wanted it brought back. That's not true. Polls have shown significant opposition to overturning Roe, and voters have punished Republicans in recent elections for it. The idea that the founders wanted the politicians to be the ones making the decisions about women's health is ridiculous, Biden shot back. In a unanimous decision this month, the Supreme Court preserved access to mifepristone, a pill that was used in nearly 2/3 of all abortions in the U.S. last year. Until Thursday, Trump had not detailed his position on access to the medication, but during the debate, he indicated he supported the justice's decision, saying, "I will not block it." But when it was his turn to speak, Biden stumbled through his explanation of Roe, which he said had 3 trimesters. A lost opportunity for the Democrat to make a strong rhetorical case on an issue vital for his party. "The first time is between a woman and a doctor," Biden continued. "Second time is between a doctor in an extreme situation. A third time is between the doctor, between the woman and the state." He fumbled. Trump blunts Biden's border progress with dark rhetoric. So in recent months, Biden has tried to reverse his poor public standing over his handling of immigration, first by endorsing a bipartisan Senate proposal with some of the toughest border restrictions in recent memory, and then, after that legislation collapsed, taking executive action to clamp down on migrants seeking asylum at the southern border. So, there's a lot going on. But as Biden tried to tout the progress he's made, particularly the 40% drop in illegal border crossings since his border directive was implemented this month, Trump invoked his trademark dark and catastrophic rhetoric to paint a portrait of a chaotic border under Biden's watch. For example, Trump argued that the migrants arriving at the U.S. border are coming from mental institutions and insane asylums, a frequent refrain of his at rallies, for which he has offered no evidence. He also claimed the U.S.-Mexico border is the most dangerous place anywhere in the world, and cited examples of immigrants in the U.S. illegally who had committed violent crimes. Though some immigrants do commit horrific crimes, a 2020 study published by the National Academy of Sciences found considerably lower felony arrest rates among people in the United States illegally than among illegal immigrants or native-born, but Trump often benefits from this certitude. It's the economy, and Trump, says Biden, is stupid. The debate began with Biden defending his record on the economy. saying he inherited an economy that was in a free fall as it was battered by the coronavirus pandemic, and that his administration put it back together again. But after Biden touted his administration's accomplishments, such as lowering the cost of insulin for diabetics and the creation of millions of new jobs, Trump boasted that he oversaw the greatest economy in the history of our country and defended his record on the pandemic. Biden retorted, "He's the only one who thinks that." But Trump responding by attacking him on inflation, arguing that he inherited low rates of inflation when he came into office in January 2021, yet prices blew up under his leadership. One of Biden's strongest moments is about veterans. Biden, whose deceased son, Beau, served in Iraq, had one of his most forceful moments when he went on the attack against Trump's reported comments in 2018 that he declined to visit a U.S. military cemetery in France because veterans buried there were suckers and losers. It was an argument that Biden, then the Democratic challenger, made against Trump in their first 2020 debate, and one that the incumbent president has regularly used against Trump, framing him as a commander-in-chief who nonetheless disparages veterans. "My son was not a loser, was not a sucker," Biden said. "You're the sucker. You're the loser." Again, we go back to a former president and a sitting president pointing fingers and yelling insults on a global stage. Trump responded that the publication that initially reported this comment, The Atlantic, was a third-rate magazine and had made up the quotes. He has a knack of belittling the source and then forcefully reiterating what he said before, which, for all we know, could be wrong. But undercutting Trump's retort is the fact that his former chief of staff, John Kelly, confirmed those private remarks in a statement last fall. So that's all we have for you today. We're going to continue watching this as it develops, moving towards the election in November. We've, as I said at the beginning, we've joined Buy Me a Coffee. So I'll put the link up in the description. It's buymeacoffee.com/Samson King. We'd love if you'd pop over there and support the channel. Thanks for stopping by. Please like and subscribe, and we'll see you next time.